Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome back. And today is Monday, October 19, 2020. And today we're going to start Module 2. And Module 2 is one of my favorite modules for reading class. Of course, my most favorite one is Module 3 because it's about history. But I love Module 2 because it talks so much about characters, how they change. We're going to read amazing stories. We're going to read All Summer in a Day. And I am more than likely sure that you're going to love this story as much as I love it and as much as my previous students have loved it. So let's go ahead and get started for today. Students will be able to explain the use of sensory language use in All Summer in a Day. So let's go over the key points. How are we going to do this? So how are we going to find sensory language? We're going to identify figurative language, for example, similes, metaphors, alliteration. Remember, simile and metaphors both compare, but simile uses like or as, and a metaphor uses is or are. Explain the use of figurative language. So we need to know and explain why the author used figurative language. What are we going to do? We're going to ask, does this statement mean what it says? Is it raining cats and dogs? No, right? It's just an author or the speaker is trying to make a point, right? And then we're going to write the literal meaning. Why is this important, boys and girls? The author uses sensory language to engage the reader. Can you imagine getting a story that is very boring? Would you want to read it if it had no figurative language, no similes, no metaphors, alliteration, no hook? No, right? Nobody would want to sit there and read a boring story. We want to know that the character is changing, the setting is changing, that it's what is happening. So that's why the author uses sensory language. And it's very important that when you write a piece that you also use sensory language. Okay, we're going to move on and you're going to need your composition book. So I'm going to give you 15 seconds to take out your composition book. Put it on a brand new sheet of paper. Put your name, your date, and your goal. So what is your goal, boys and girls? I know our goal is to go to college, but what is your goal for right now, your short-term goal? So is it to go to 5th grade? Is it to master the next upcoming BWA, which would be October 30th? Hint, hint. All right, you're putting your name, date, and go. I want you to create a T-chart just like the one you see here. Yes, you did this in 3rd grade. A notice and wonder chart. So remember, on the left-hand side, you notice. What do you see? So I'm going to show you a video. You're going to see several facts about Venus. So I want you to write them. Number 1, I notice blank. I notice Venus is blank. I notice Venus is blank. And then on the right-hand side, you're going to write what I wonder. So that one, you can do a little question mark. That's any questions you might have. After watching this video, what questions might you have about Venus? Maybe they didn't answer all of your questions, right? Because it's a short video. So you have the last 5 seconds. Everybody should be writing a T-chart on a blank new sheet of paper with your name, date, and go. And let's go ahead and get started.
Recently, astronomers have built up a detailed picture of Venus's atmosphere. Imagine a probe hurtling toward the planet. What would it see? 50 miles above the surface, it hits a thick layer of cloud. But this is no ordinary cloud. It's made of vaporized acid, corrosive enough to burn through steel. Scientists believe that the acid clouds are a byproduct of Venus's violent history. Gigantic volcanic eruptions, billions of tons of sulfur high into the atmosphere. There, it mixed with water vapor to form concentrated sulfuric acid. As the probe breaks through the upper atmosphere, it slows to make a low pass over the surface. The terrain is dominated by dormant volcanoes that tower 3 miles into the atmosphere. Deep channels, forged 1 million years ago by molten lava, stretched thousands of miles. One longer even than the River Nile. Probe sensors reveal an atmospheric pressure 90 times greater than on Earth, large enough to crush a car. But the biggest problem is temperature. The atmosphere is nearly all carbon dioxide. Just like on Earth, this gas acts like a pane of glass in a greenhouse, letting the light through, but not the heat out. On Earth, increased carbon dioxide levels are causing small rises in temperature. But on Venus, they have pushed the temperature to over 900 degrees Fahrenheit.
So boys and girls, what is something that you noticed? What did you write for notice and what did you write for wonder? So did you notice that Venus and Earth are very different? Did you notice that Venus is very, very hot? And for the wonder, what is something you wrote down? Did you wonder if people, maybe some of you could have written this down. I wonder if people can live in Venus. From what we can tell, we could infer it's not possible, right? Because it's super hot. It's 900 degrees Fahrenheit. That is boiling hot. Here in Texas, it gets to 100 and we are scorching hot, right? We are dying of the heat wave and it's hot and we're sweating and it's yucky. So can you imagine being 900 degrees hot? Oh my goodness, that would be so much, right? So those are just some of the ideas that you might have written for your notice and wonder. So let's go ahead and move on. So let's go into our launch. So the essential question, remember, this is a question you're going to answer at the end of the module. And it's, how does a challenging setting or physical environment change a person? Boys and girls, you could already start inferencing that we're going to be talking about what? We're going to start talking about Venus, right? Okay. And the focusing question, I want you to focus on this question. We're going to work on the same question from lessons 1 through 10. And it's, how does the setting affect the characters or speakers in the text? So remember, the setting, how does it affect the characters? Does it change them? Do they stay the same? What happens? Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and start reading the selection. But before I do that, I want you to put a line in your paper. And I want you to create another T-chart. This time, we are going to label it like this. All summer in a day. I want you to put on the left-hand side, figurative language. Because remember, our objective for today is to look for any type of figurative language. And on the right-hand side, we're going to do any annotations that we deem necessary. So I'm going to go ahead and give you 1 minute to copy this anchor chart. You don't have to use color. I like to use color because it makes me understand a little bit better. But all you need is your composition book, the title of the T-chart. On the left-hand side, it needs to say figurative language. On the right side, it has to say annotations. And before we start reading, boys and girls, I want you to start thinking about our question. How does the setting influence a character? So no, I know we're going to be focusing on the setting. And we're also going to be looking for figurative language, a simile, a metaphor, any sensory details. It's raining cats and dogs. I know that it's raining horribly outside. You have the last 15 seconds to copy this this T-chart in your composition book. Any page. Last 10 seconds. Okay, let me show you where we're going to get the story for today because you do not have it in your packet. I'm going to repeat this. You do not have this story in your packet. Okay, but I'm going to show you where you can access it. Okay, so on the Teams, when you click on Reading Class, make sure you're under General and then Files. So this is where I always put all the files. You're going to see something that says All Summer in a Day by Ray Bradbury. And it's going to come out like this. And you can go ahead and zoom in. You can print it if you want. It's up to you. You don't have to print it. Don't write all this down. It's a pretty long story. But I assure you, you're going to love this story. So this is where it's at. It's under Reading, General, Files. Remember, boys and girls, before we start reading, we're looking for sensory language. We're looking for the setting. We're looking for the genre. What's going to be the genre of this new selection? We have a hint, right? Because we saw a video about Venus. But I wonder if the story is going to be in Venus. So let's see. Let's look for text features. Let's scroll down. Do you see any text features? Any photographs? Any illustrations? Any bold print? Any underlined words? I don't see anything. How about you? There is no text features, right? Nope. Okay. So let's see. All Summer in a Day by Ray Bradbury. Boys and girls, can we have all summer in a day? No, right? Summer is usually 3 months long, right? No one season is in one day. So this is already telling you that something is going to happen out of the ordinary. So boys and girls, do you think we're going to read a fiction story or an informational story? It's probably going to be fiction, right? Yes, because it's saying all summer in one day. But we know, boys and girls, that's not true. That can't happen, right? We can't just have summer in one day. Imagine if only one day was summer, right? It's not possible. All right, let's start reading. Ready? Ready? Now? Soon? Do the scientists really know? Will it happen today? Will it? Look, look! See for yourself. The children press to each other like so many roses, so many weeds intermixed, peering out for a look at the hidden sun. Boys and girls, the author just used sensory details. What were they? He described the children. What are they doing? What does he mean by they press to each other like so many roses, so many weeds intermixed, peering out for a look at the hidden sun? What are the children doing if they're pressed to each other like so many roses? They're super close to each other, right? You know when you go to the store and you see flowers on a little showcase and they're all super tight together? That's how the children are right now, right? They're super close to each other. So the author is giving you sensory details because I can see it in my head. I can see the children all together. It rained. It had been raining for 7 years. Thousands upon thousands of days compounded and filled from one end to the other with rain, with the drum and gush of water, with the sweet crystal fall of showers, and the concussion of storms, so heavy there were tidal waves come over the islands. Boys and girls, look at that sensory detail. Look at how the author describes the setting. What is happening? Is there sun? No, there isn't, right? Look what it says. With the drum and gush of water. What does it mean by drum and gush? It's raining. Is it raining a little bit? If it's a drum, if you can do this, drum. No, it's raining really hard, right? So the author described that it's raining super hard, right? And very, very bad. And it had been raining for how long? For 7 years, or what he describes, thousands upon thousands of days. Can you imagine living in a place that it rains for 7 years? Every single day is pouring rain outside? Oh my goodness. It rains here for like one day and the streets get flooded and traffic is really bad, right? Can you imagine 7 years? Every single day, thousands upon thousands of days? Wow. 1,000 forests had been crushed under the rain and grown up on 1,000 times to be crushed again. Boys and girls, look how the author describes the rain. What is the rain doing? Look what it says. 1,000 forests had been crushed under the rain and grown up 1,000 times to be crushed again. What is happening to the trees? They're getting crushed. But why are they getting crushed? By the sun? No, right? What are they getting crushed by? They're getting crushed by the rain, right? Because remember, it doesn't rain a little bit. It rains a lot, thousands upon thousands of days for 7 years. So that means so much water is falling onto these trees that it crushes them. And then again, they grow and they get crushed again. So the author's doing a really good job making me visualize all these things. It's raining. I can see the trees being on the floor being crushed. Let's continue. And this was the way of life forever on the planet Venus. And this was the schoolroom of the children of the Rocket Man and the woman who had come to a raining world to set up civilization and live out their lives. Boys and girls, what is the setting of the story? Is it on Earth? No. Where is it? Look what it says. Planet Venus. Boys and girls, we just saw a video that gave me facts about Venus. Can I live in Venus? Because any of us live in Venus. No. So boys and girls, what is the genre of this selection? It's fiction, but what type of fiction? Science fiction. So science fiction is anything that is out of the ordinary and that uses science. For example, this one's talking about a planet, Venus, and it's saying that people live there. But we know, boys and girls, according to that video we saw, that nobody can live there. It's hot. It's scorching hot, right? So let's go ahead and go back to our T-chart and let's add here the genre is science fiction. Okay, right, science fiction. I'm going to give you 15 seconds starting now. So remember, anything that science fiction is talking about out of the ordinary. For example, this one's talking about people living in Venus. That can't happen. Five seconds. Alrighty, let's continue reading. It's stopping! It's stopping! Yes, yes! Margaret stood apart from them, from these children who could ever remember a time when there wasn't rain and rain and rain. Boys and girls, what is the name of my first character? Margaret. What about her? How does she stand out from the other children? We don't even know them, but the author already told me she stands out from them. How? So, look what it says. From these children who could ever remember a time when there wasn't rain. So, boys and girls, can the children remember the sun? No, right? They can't. The author just told me. From the children who could ever remember a time when there wasn't rain and rain. That's all they know. Remember, it rains for 7 years straight. So, if you are 10 years old, that means you were 3 years old when the sun came out, right? So, more than likely, you might not remember the sun. But Margaret's different. Let's see why. They were all 9 years old, and if there had ever been a day 7 years ago when the sun came out for an hour and showed its face to the sun world, they could not recall. Sometimes at night she heard them stir in remembrance, and she knew they were dreaming and remembering gold or a yellow crayon or a coin large enough to buy the world with. She knew they thought they remembered a warmness, like a blushing in the face, in the body, in the arms and legs, and trembling hands. Boys and girls, look what the author used here. What did he use? Sensory language, right? Look how he describes. She knew they thought they remembered the warmness. You know when you go outside and the sun hits you and you can feel the warmth? Yes, that's what he's doing. He's describing that. So the students or the children think they remember the sun. Remember, if they're 9 years old and the sun comes out every 7 years, how old were they when the sun came out? They were 2 years old. And I don't know about you, but I can't remember what I did even a week ago, right? We forget very quickly because we're always doing something. So let's continue. But then they always awoke to the tatting drum, the endless shaking down of clear bed necklaces upon the roof, the walk, the garden, the forest, and the dreams were gone. Boys and girls, again, what did the author use? He used sensory details, right? He's describing what's happening. But the children, look what it says, but they always woke to the tatting drum. Why? What does it mean to the drum? What's happening outside? It's raining, yes, right? And then the endless shaking down of clear bed necklaces upon the roof. So boys and girls, is the rain loud or is it very silent? If it says the endless shaking down of clear bed necklaces upon the roof. They were very loud, right? You know when it's raining, sometimes we've gotten help and it falls on the roof of your house and you could hear the little like circles, that's the same thing. The author's describing how it sounds, so I can almost hear it, I can see it. The walk, the gardens, the forest, and their dreams were gone. So I can see it, I can hear it, I can almost touch the rain, right? All day yesterday they had read in class about the sun, about how like a lemon it was, and how hot. And they had written small stories or essays or poems about it. I think the sun is a flower that blooms for just 1 hour. Oh, boys and girls, what happened there? The author used what? If he said, I think the sun is a flower that blooms for just 1 hour. Is that a simile or a metaphor? It's a simile. Good job. Look what it says. I think the sun is a flower. So he's comparing the sun to being as beautiful as a flower. That was Margaret's poem, read in a quiet voice in still classroom while the rain was falling outside. Aw, you didn't write that, protested one of the boys. I did, said Margaret. I did. William, said the teacher, but that was yesterday. Now the rain was slackening, and the children were crushed in the great, thick windows. Where's the teacher? She'll be back. She'd better hurry. We'll miss it. They turned on themselves like feverish wheel. Ah, tumbling spokes. Boys and girls, what happened here? The teacher left the classroom, right? So she totally left them. And what did the children do? Did they stay sitting down? No, look what the author says. They turned on themselves like, we know he's going to compare them, like a feverish wheel. All tumbling spokes. So what are they doing, boys and girls? They're all a feverish wheel. It's kind of like it's just rolling and they're going and going, right? Are they sitting down? No, right? I could almost see it in my head. When I close my eyes, I can see them going crazy, right? Because the teacher left and they think it's free time. So they're all going everywhere, maybe pushing each other, maybe jumping up and down, maybe playing games. Margaret stood alone. She was a very frail girl who looked as if she had been lost in the rain for years, and the rain had washed out the blue from her eyes, and the red from her mouth, and the yellow from her hair. She was an old photograph dusted from an album, whitened away, and if she spoke at all, her voice would be a ghost. Now she stood separate, staring at the rain and the loud wet world beyond the huge glass. Boys and girls. So the teacher left. All the children are turning against each other, remember? Like a feverish wheel. But then there was Margaret. She was a frail girl who looked like if she had been lost in the rain for years and the rain had washed out of the blue. So boys and girls, the author's describing Margot, right? And the red of her mouth and the yellow from her hair. She was an old photograph dusted from an album, whitened away, and if she spoke at all, her voice would be a ghost. Boys and girls, does the author literally mean that she was an old photograph from an album? You know when your parents put a photograph away, and then you find it and it has dust on it, and you go, and you take off the dust, and it looks kind of like whitish, yellowish because of the dirt? That's exactly how the author is describing Margot. So does she look happy? No, right? She looks, we can almost say or infer that Margaret is very sad. She's very lonely. She might be even depressed, right? And if she spoke at all, her voice would be a ghost. Does the author mean literally her voice would be like a ghost? No. What does the author really mean? If she spoke, what would happen? Everybody would do what? If I say, oh my goodness, everybody's talking, I feel like my voice is like a ghost. What do I mean? That means nobody's listening to her, right? They're probably ignoring her. We could infer they probably don't like her, right? They dislike her strongly for some reason. So we know Margaret is sad. She's depressed. She doesn't talk to anybody. Nobody talks to her. The students are very wild. Remember, where do they live? They live in Venus. Okay. Now she stood, separate, staring at the rain and the loud, wet world. beyond the huge glass. Boys and girls, we could infer, we could almost see it, that they're what? Behind a huge glass, right? Remember, it rains. So it's kind of like in the classroom where you are here, an idea that we have 3 large windows, right? But instead of just regular windows, they have to be huge, right? They have to be thick because remember, it rains every single day. So it has to make sure that the rain doesn't come in. All right, I want to go back to the word civilization, and we're going to go ahead and look that up. But instead of pulling up a dictionary, we're going to use context clues, boys and girls. So which words from the paragraph helps the reader understand the word civilization? So let's see. Let's go back and reread. So it's going to be in this section here. 1,000 forests had been crushed under the rain and grown up 1,000 times to be crushed again. So this one's talking about it's raining every day, the forests are being crushed. And this was the way of life. This was the way life was forever on planet Venus. And this was the schoolroom of the children of the rocket men and women who had come to a raining world to set up civilization and live out their lives. Sorry. So boys and girls, what does civilization mean? They moved their life, right? So which words help the reader understand the word civilization? They had what? Yes, live out their lives. So that means that they move, right? So we could infer that they lived on planet Earth and they move to Venus. Yeah, so civilization is just the way that people live. So let's go back to our new packet number 1. And I want you to go to page 1. So new packet, page 1. And I want you to go and write civilization. Okay, so the new packet looks like this. Make sure you're on packet 1. I'm going to give you 15 seconds. You need packet 1. And when you flip the page, you're going to see page 1. So this is the word web we had before, but now it's going to be in the new packet. And if you notice, boys and girls, I'm going to zoom in. It says, what words help the reader understand the meaning of? So that's what I just asked you right now. We use context clues to define the word civilization. And this is how you're going to see it in your STAR or your BWAs. Another way they're going to ask you is which phrase helps the reader understand the meaning of and then the word. So they want to know what sentence. So phrase is a sentence. So remember, I write, you write. And then the last one says, what does the word blank mean in paragraph blank? So right now we're going to look up the word, we're going to help the context clues civilization. And I want you to write here module 2 and we're in lesson 1. So M2L1, module 2, lesson 1. So remember, civilization. Which words help the reader understand? Well, it says that they live out their lives we could also infer they moved, right? Where did they move from? From Earth, right? So I'm going to put here, I can't put it here because I didn't find it in the selection, but I can put a little asterisk and I know that they move. That's something I could infer. So what does civilization mean? It's the way humans, remember, I write, you write, humans settle to live. So our civilization right now says that we have to do online learning because of everything that's happening, right? It's just the way that we're living right now. That wasn't the same case last year, right? Last year was totally different. So what is a synonym? I want you to write on top of synonym. It means the same. So what do we say an antonym means? It is the opposite. Good. So what would be a synonym of civilization? You can say it's society, right? The society we live in today, the world we live in today. You probably hear your parents saying society a lot, right? Now, what other words help the reader understand the meaning of civilization? It also talks about the world they live in. And it also spoke about the men and women. So it's a man and women. They went to planet Venus. Of course, they took their children and they're living out their lives. So civilization is the way that humans settle to life. A synonym is society. Okay, so a sentence we can use is, what is our civilization love today, boys and girls? What is something we can say? Our civilization loves technology, right? Let's write that sentence down. So I'm helping you with this one today. Our civilization, remember, I write, you write, loves technology. Now, do you have to copy my sentence? No, this is just an example. If you have a better sentence than me, please share. I'm always open to new examples. I love learning. I'm not perfect. All right, I'm going to give you the last minute to copy this. And if you're finished copying all of this, you may go to page 9. So page number 9. "30 seconds. If you're ready, go to page 9. Same packet. Alrighty, let's move on to page number 9. So page number 9, same packet. It looks something like this. It says 4th grade story map. Now, yes, you might have done this last year if you were here with IDEA with Miss Endejo or Miss Hinojosa, but this is going to be 4th grade. Okay, so the title, we always start at Monday. We're reading All Summer in a Day. Make sure you're writing this. Every single day we're going to add to our chart. This is going to help us better understand the selection. Who is the author, boys and girls? So let me go back to the story. Who is the author? Ray Bradbury. Good. So let's go back and write that. So Ray Bradbury. What is a genre? What do we say the genre was? Science fiction. Let's write that. Don't forget to check out the box fiction because it's fiction. And then how do we know that? How do we know that it's a science fiction? Because what? Where do the characters live? What's the setting of the selection? It's in Venus. And boys and girls, can we live in Venus if it's 900 degrees? Absolutely not. Let's go ahead and write that. Because the story takes place. Actually, no, not story. We're going to write selection. We're going to use 4th grade vocabulary because my students know that in 4th grade, they're going to need to know what selection means. Because the selection takes place in Venus. And we know, boys and girls, that's not true, right? Definitely, definitely, definitely not true. Okay, we're going to go ahead and pause here. I'm going to give you the last minute to copy this. If you're done, I will see you in the live session. If not, you have the last minute to copy this. Make sure you have your new packets in front of you. So we already worked on packet 1. You're going to need packet 2. So 40 seconds. All we did today is read part of the story and we're dissecting it. That means we're investigating more. 30 seconds. Alrighty, boys and girls, I'll see you in the live session.